Recorded Books presents The Boy Who Made Dragonfly, a Zuni Myth by Tony Hillerman. Narrated by Shaun Taylor-Corbett. 1. It happened before the Ashiwi, the flesh of the flesh, finally found the middle place and ended their long wanderings. It happened before the Ashiwi came to be called the Zunis, before the water strider stretched his arms and legs to the edges of the world and lowered his body to the place where the Ashiwi were to live. It happened when the people still lived in the Valley of Hot Waters in the good stone town they called Hawiku. It happened long before the white man came. In those days the Ashiwi had been given by the beloved ones an abundance of water blessings. In the Valley of Hot Waters there was a richness of rain. The mud washed down the arroyos, and the Ashiwi spread it across their flatlands with dams of brush. It was that way year after year, and in the winter the ice god rarely blew his breath toward them, because two of the corn maidens lived just south of there and looked after the people who would be called Zunis. Summer after summer the Ashiwi grew more corn than they could eat. The storerooms of all the women were filled to the rafters, and all the Ashiwi were as fat as October gophers. One day in the autumn, when the people had brought in their corn, they had so much that they would have to build new storerooms, and they piled it in the plaza. The chief priest of the bow was standing on top of his house looking down at this great wealth of corn. As he looked, his mind became swollen with pride in his people. None other of all the tribes around the middle place had accumulated such an abundance that their storerooms overflowed. While he was thinking about this, and what he should tell the Ashiwi to do with this richness of seed food, he noticed some children playing at war. They were throwing balls of mud at each other, and as he watched their game, this priest of the bow, this member of the great bow society, this valuable man of the village, began to think as a little child thinks before he learns how to live. The priest of the bow thought that it would be good to let the Navajos and the Utes and the Lagunas and the Acamas and the Hopis and all the other nations know how rich the Ashiwi had become. The bow priest called together the valuable men of all the clans, and the Pequin, and the 6 Ashiwani priests, and the leaders of the Kiva societies, and the Mudheads, and everybody else who was the most valuable. When they were in council, he spoke to them. "Listen," he said, "I think it would be a good thing for the Ashiwi if we showed all the other people how rich we have become. I think it would be a good thing if we had all our people prepare a great feast. It would be good if we had the women bake a great store of hard bread and soft bread, corn cakes, tortillas, and other things, and make a great supply of sweet mush and all other foods. Then it would be good if we sent out our fast-running young men to summon all the other nations, to come to Hawiku, to join us in celebrating our water blessings. We will have all who come join us in a great battle, such as the children play, and we will use bread and mush dough and foodstuffs for our weapons. Valuable men, think on this. Think of how these strangers will marvel at the wealth of the Ashiwi when they see us treating the food for which others labor so hard as the children treat the mud by the riverside and the stones of the mesas." The other valuable men were just as foolish as the bow priest. "Hachi," they all said, "you have thought well and spoken well. Let it be done as you say." And so the village of Hawiku became loud with sounds. There was the noise of the men breaking the wood to fit into the ovens, and the noise of the metates grinding mountains of yellow corn, and the roar of the fires in the hornos where the food was baking. And the village was covered with a cloud of piñón smoke from the ovens and the steam from the boiling pots of mush. And while this was happening, the runners went out in all the directions to tell the other nations. Now the corn maidens heard of what the people of Hawiku were doing. It made them sad that their children would waste the food of the water blessing. But the white corn maiden said that perhaps
Sample complete. Ready to continue?